Okay, so we talked about the power attenuator. By now our tube should be nice and hot. Let's see what we can do here. Now to illustrate that all tube amps lose something at low volume, not just the Marshall JVM or whatever amp you were trying out when you were following me at home, if you were, I hope you were, I'm going to start out with what not to do. I am going to bring my gain way down here. Not the gain, sorry, the volume. And I'm also going to bring the gain down, switch the power attenuator off. Right now it's passive. And let's see what we got. You know, it's kind of dead sounding. You might think that that's a nice sound, but it's only because you haven't heard what this amp can really do. I mean, this doesn't even really make for a very good clean sound. I'm going to take the gain way down here. I mean, it's kind of clean, but I would never use a clean sound like that. This amp is kind of meant to be dirty, so let me push the preamp gain a little bit here. Got a single coil mode. Okay, a little better, but still missing something. All right, now I'm going to take the gain all the way up. And I don't know if you can hear that, but we got a little bit of white noise there. Volume, let me see, yeah, volume's at 2. By the way, I should mention all the dials on this amp goes to 11. So let's see. Okay, not bad. You might think that's a nice sound, but again, it's really nowhere near what the potential of this amp is. Now, it's pretty dirty, but obviously it's nowhere near as dirty as the Marshall. If I back it off a little bit, you know, I mean, if you tweak the not the overdrive channel, but the crunch channel on the Marshall, you can get more gain than that. And like with the Marshall, it suffers the same problem. When you have the gain all the way up, that's just mud. And look, I can't. My volume barely on. It's just. You can't use a clean sound like that. Listen how muddy it is. That's no good. The thing about this amp is it works on the theory of, drum roll, power tube drive. Overdrive. Look at the name of its predecessor, Super Lead Overdrive. This amp is meant to be run at high volume. So, let's pull the gain back and put the volume up. Okay, I'm going to keep the master at about 4 here. I know it's hard to see. And I'm going to keep the gain up also at about 4. Now, let's see what we got. Getting loud now. We're going to need to put the power attenuator on here. 4 dB reduction. You see how much hotter that sound just got with this small volume increase here from 2 to 4? Let's push it a little higher. Let's see. Let's bring it to 6. Listen to that. Let's take it a little further. I'm going to bring the gain back just a tiny bit more. I'm going to put the volume up to around 8 or 9. It's usually about as high as I go in the interest of not blowing the thing up. And I'm going to have to reduce the dB here by quite a bit. It's still going to be pretty loud, but let's see what we got. That just sounds great. That is freaking sweet. And all that with the preamp gain at 4, okay? Not at 10, at 4. And I mean, listen to the power behind it. You can do heavy metal with that easy, and it's not ridiculously distorted. You can hear how defined and clear every note is. So let me go to my usual setting here. I usually run the preamp just a little bit higher. I've got the dB reduction at 12 here. So it's taking 12 dB off the top of the signal. But it's still, I don't know if you can tell through the camera, but it is, you know, it's deafening. So let's see what we got. You to get a sound like that out of a solid state amp. I mean, this is just raw power. And how clean every note is, how defined it is. Yeah, you know what? Let me talk as I play to give you an idea of the volume. And that's at 12 dB reduction, so you get an idea of how loud it is. Now, if I reduce the dB by more than that, you kind of start to get a little weakness in the sound here. Let me... Just right about there, it doesn't cut quite as hard as it does. And you can see these lights coming on as I play. That's basically, you can see the power attenuator soaking up the extra volume. With this off, I'd fly out of my freaking seat. But again, you can see how just powerful and defined every note is. I mean, it's just pure tube power. And listen to this. You got all that gain, but look, I'm just going to crack my volume on here and, well, bring it back. And listen to how that cleans up. Are you following me here? Listen to how clean that gets. And I mean, it's still bright and clear and sparkly, you know? And if you haven't noticed, it is quiet. There's a little bit of white noise here, but I mean, with all this gain, look, now I'm using a cable that isn't really the best, but I mean, this is, for an amp that's running at 8 here, that's like, I mean, that's nothing. And also, if you don't have proper grounding, it can get a little noisy, but still, for an amp of this caliber running at this volume, that's nothing. You know what? I dare myself to do this. I'm gonna hit just one chord, no power attenuator. Whoa, gotta take it out of single coil for that. Whoa, go! That's loud. So you can see the kind of volume you get out of this. So it's back to 12 dB reduction here. And again, preamp gain at 6. Got all the volume and power that you'll ever need right there. But let me stop gushing a little bit. Let me push the gain higher. I usually don't, but I know some of you might like to. So let me see. I'm going to go about to about 9 here. Remember, we can go to 11. So I'm only going to go to 9. Let's see what we got. Is increasing, but it's still pretty clear. That's you know, a bit more gain than I usually like. I prefer, you know, less gainy but a more powerful sound. So let's, you know, let's go back a little bit here. That's what like. It's, you know, it's still plenty chunky. You can get some, you know, your heavy riffs. You can still get your heavy metal riffs out of there, you know? And it's also, another thing that I really like in an amp is it's got, you know, some sparkle to it. So I can riff like this. That riff's got to sparkle a little bit, and this can still do it. But to illustrate a point, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave the gain where it is. I got it about 7, and I'm going to pull the volume back. And let's see what happens. See, already it lost something. I'm going to go back a little bit more, and you're going to hear it choke. It's choking. I mean, it still sounds good, but not like it did a minute ago. Let's hear. Let me go all the way, again, back to 2. See, it loses something. It doesn't sound anywhere near as good as it did with the volume way up a minute ago. So let's go back up here. Let's go right now. Let me see, 7. Whoa! Forgot the power attenuator. There it is. There it is. The bottom line here, it's not just the increased gain that you get, it's just more unrestrained power. And, I mean, this thing is meant to be run hot. I'm sure you can tell that at this point. And another nice thing about it is because of the clarity, when I pop into single coil mode here, actually, let me just run them back to back, you don't lose that single coil punch. Single coil. Now it's not, you know, with a sound this heavy, it's not as, the single coil isn't as overt as it would be. Well, you know what, let's bring it back a little bit here. So. You still get it. You don't lose that. I mean, I play my Strat through this, and the Strat sounds heavy, and you can shred a Strat through this, but it's still, you can tell when you've got single coils and when you've got a humbucker. And like the Marshall, this amp, you got to choose the right guitar for the sound you want. A piece of shit guitar will sound like a piece of shit guitar through this. So you've got to have a nice guitar, and different guitars will give you different sounds. It really highlights the sound of the wood, because there's no processing. In this case, the Luthite, but, you know, still, what more can you say about this guitar? Let me not gush about this guitar now. So I'm sure you can see why this is my main amp now. And looking back, I love my PVs, and I recommend them to anyone. If someone was looking to get a PV trans tube Supreme 100, I'd say yes, absolutely, it's a great amp. But even that cannot beat this, okay? It may be only one channel, but a sound like that, do you really need a second one? It's, you know, it's pure and simple. It's not all that versatile, but it's all that it needs to be. Now, for the sake of completeness, I'm also going to cover the low gain input on this. So Marshall didn't have a low gain input, this one does. And I'm going to go over that and also what a tube screamer can do for you in the low gain. By the way, if you're thinking about using a tube screamer on the high gain input, that's overkill, I would think. Try it, see what you got. But anyway, let's go over the low gain in the next installment.